My dad walked in on me with my GF. So I, 16F, am not out. My GF, 17F, is. My parents both travel for work and my dad was supposed to be about 300 miles away and my mom a good 1,300. Anyways, my GF had decided to stay over the weekend and maybe have our first time. We're in my room, Netflix on, half-clothed after I chickened out when the door opens. My dad enters, takes a moment and then my GF gets up, gets her clothes, walks past him and says, "I don't really want to be here for this one. Have a lovely talk. Nice to meet you, Mr. Throwaway." My dad just walked out, went to his room and we haven't talked since last night. I'll be planning the funeral now. If I don't die of embarrassment from this eventual conversation, I'll let everyone know. I had an abortion at home while my husband took our kids to Cirque du Soleil. I, 28F, have two wonderful children, 2M, and 5 months, and a husband, 29M. Over the last 3 years we have been through a lot of trauma, which ultimately resulted in us going zero contact with my nuclear family. I see my extended family once every few years. My mental health had ultimately suffered over the time we have been together. I am a STHM and my husband works 5 to 7 days a week. The support that we have is very minimal, everyone on his side is busy with their own lives, though they're in an emergency. When I was 7 months pregnant with our daughter, my husband had a consultation with a urologist to have a vasectomy. My husband was unwilling to wear condoms, travel for the procedure, or allow me to get my tubes tied. Even regular birth control takes at least 3 months to be fully effective and would potentially interact negatively with my other medications regardless. I found out I was pregnant when my daughter turned 5 months old. Pregnancy has never suited me. I get violently ill to the point of being bedridden. This time was no different. I woke up one morning and immediately began dry heaving to the point where my abdominal muscles ached. I told my husband as soon as the pregnancy test came back positive. From then on it was my issue to deal with while still taking care of both children and 2 large dogs at home. I live in Canada, so abortion is legal. I went to my appointment at the hospital. The next night we were supposed to go to Cirque du Soleil with my husband's family. We had been so stressed that neither of us had remembered. I had already taken the first abortion pill and needed to take the second doses the following night. I told my husband to take both kids so I could rest. The second dose would take at least 3 hours to kick in. I took the pills at 6:30 p.m., laid down, and fell asleep on and off until 11 p.m. when I heard my husband get home with our kids. I heard him put our daughter to bed and go back outside for our toddler. She started crying and I instinctively got up to tend to her. I started to leave her room and felt a familiar drop in my pelvic floor. I'll spare you the gory details, but almost everything came out at once. The next day I felt much better, physically. But mentally I can't cope with what I had to do and what memories I had to miss with my children. For something that could have been prevented. My ex-wife finally got remarried and now I don't have to pay her alimony anymore. My ex-wife cheated on me and on top of that she's stubborn and her pettiness and selfishness couldn't handle doing joint custody, so she filed for full custody and the consequences of living in a mother-friendly state. She received full custody, child support, and alimony. I am so grateful I did not buy a house with this woman. She would have took that too and moved her boyfriend in it. She has made my life a living hell. I'm celebrating the fact that this will be my last alimony payment. I've been paying her $700 a month for the past 8 years. I am never getting married again. This whole experience was traumatizing. She also married a different guy, not the one she cheated on me with. Good luck, David, you're going to need it. GF's trauma is not my fucking responsibility. At a certain it's fucking ridiculous. We're both women. I was asleep, woke up to her asking where my car key is so she can get her coat out and leave. What happened is I was asleep, presumably my hand was by my waist, because what she says is she wanted to cuddle and apparently I moved my hand quickly away from my crotch, as though I was guilty of masturbating. So she woke me up trying to get the key, explained all that. I was in disbelief but unlocked the car and she got her coat. She started walking to the bus but left a sock, so I walked over and gave it to her. I am sick of accusations linked to her trauma. It reaches a point. You're simply accusing me of masturbating. And I can be my own person and decide, regardless of your past trauma, and she brought that up in a text, that you accusing me of something isn't permitted. She has to decide what she thinks happened or we're not okay. I'd rather just be mad because empathy burnout is fucking real. It's not funny or trivial to be accused of something. I am angry. I don't care how you actually feel about it, I could be downvoted to hell. I am angry and getting it off my chest. Just to be clear, I wasn't masturbating, I was asleep and apparently my hand was near my waist. I was facing away from her. Asleep. I'm in shock. My date died. I'm in shock. My date passed away. I'm a waitress at a restaurant and there was this guy who started coming into my job about a month ago. Just moved from California to my small town. He was cute, funny, sweet, and we really hit it off. He turned all the other girls down at the job and everyone started teasing me saying he was my boyfriend. Last Sunday he finally asked for my number after weeks of chemistry. It was so exciting. We would go on smoke breaks together and we talked every time I worked. He became a regular. We started texting consistently to find out we had the same music taste, hobbies. He drew me, we just talked. We shared a lot of the same interests. He finally asked me on a date Thursday night, but he drove a motorcycle and it was raining and I asked to reschedule. He wanted to take me to a nice fancy restaurant for our first date. He said I was beautiful, sweet and worth it. I was so excited. So we rescheduled for the next day. Around 5 he asked me if he could bring me dinner and I was grocery shopping and I said I'd let him know. At 5:19 he said I was worth it. I texted him trying to get a time for our date for the next day. No answer. I asked him, "You okay?" No answer. The next morning I texted him. No answer. My co-worker let me know Friday morning that 5:30 p.m. Thursday night he was hit by an SUV. 10 minutes after his text message. He was going straight and the SUV couldn't wait. It was a horrible wreck. I went to work today and had to take breaks because I couldn't look at his spot without tearing up. He kept telling me he liked me and he wanted to take me out and just couldn't wait. I'm having such a hard time with this.